Hey everyone, we have a great show today. We are talking about what clients want. What do customers want? And I have some good notes here to share with you on this topic, as well as some of your questions that I've received via Twitter, as well as in the comments. And of course, those of you who come in live, you can catch me here and ask questions, of course. And those of you who catch this on the replay, well, that's what the comments are for. And I'm happy to answer your questions there. Hey, this channel is about pricing for photography. This channel is about really creating a stronger photography community, even if it's just a little bit better. If we can get the word out and share some ideas, because, you know, we love being photographers, but we don't always have the best business practices. It's not what we're thinking about when we decide that we want to be a photographer, that we want to make this our living. And not everybody does. Some people just enjoy doing it on the weekends, our side hustle. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But if you want to make it a career, or if you just want to be paid for your value, even if you're doing it on the side, this is the show for you. And so I want to share some ideas with you to help you. This whole channel is about that topic. And again, today's topic is, what do clients want? And I think it's a good topic to consider when trying to figure out how to, one, approach your pricing, two, how to approach the client in general, just getting over objections for why they may or may not hire you. These are important questions to consider. So that is certainly why I want to go over this topic. And I have some similar, topics in the archives. And so you should definitely go through the archives and take a look and see if there are other videos. I have over 50 videos related to these topics of pricing and pricing photography. And, I mentioned recently that this is going to be live only show. And I thought about it. I think I want to take a little bit of a step back from that, because I do like doing it live, but there's a few videos I just want to make that I just don't necessarily want to do a full live session with. I just want to create a good video to get you the information. So maybe in the next few weeks, you'll see a few more of those, but of course we'll still go live, and I'll still make those Fridays, noon Eastern Standard Time, always live until further notice. This is a this is a Wednesday afternoon where I'm sharing information, and I just got some, I was just off of actually a Zoom call with a lot of interesting information about YouTube, and I was having a great time there. And so I kind of pushed this show a little bit so I could gather that information that I can share with you guys down the road. Some kind of insider stuff that I'm not allowed to share. But anyway, I guess I really didn't need to tell you that, but it's coming your way once all the stuff is released. It should be very interesting, especially if you're interested in YouTube. Okay, so, you know, when trying to develop a client base, when trying to figure out where you fit in the photography community, sometimes we feel like we need to make our prices really low just to get opportunity. And the fact is, most of the time, the reason why is really what clients are looking for. Customers are looking for low risk. And so if you can develop a way to prove to that client, that customer, that prospect, that you are low risk in hiring you, then you're going to win the day. And the easiest way to do that is to lower your price. But the problem is, if you lower it too much, you're not making any money doing what you love to do, and you can't sustain that over time. So there are other ways to show that you're not a high risk. And because let's be clear, hiring a photographer is a risky situation, especially when a photographer is going to charge $1,000, $2,000. For most people, that is not an easy amount of money just to come up with. And, you know, most people have saved for that, especially if it's like a wedding or a big event. Obviously, corporations have a little easier time, but even a small business has a little trouble paying for the good photography, the custom photography that they want. So one of the things I do, obviously, per image pricing, and I have some questions down the road here that are related to per image pricing this week. So I'll get into that a little bit more. But I do per image pricing, and I say, because I have confidence, as long as there are no extra expenses such as location fees or models and so forth, that if they don't like my photographs, if they don't like the photographs, they don't pay. Now, I'm not recommending that for you. I've been doing this a long time. I know when to offer that solution and when not to through my experience. And 90% of the time I do, but there are times I feel like, this may not be an offer I can make for this situation. It happens, but being able to do that makes me the low risk photographer. People are looking for somebody with some skill. That's why they hire a photographer, because the photographer has a skill level that they don't have, or they don't have the time to create the images that they need. So there are people who are very skillful photographers, but just don't have the time. They have something else that they need to be doing. And that is why they hire a photographer. So if somebody doesn't have the skill, they definitely want to hire somebody that has a greater skill than they do. But if it's a lot of money and they don't come through, well, then there's a problem. And so you need to make sure that you have something that you can offer. That is why we show a portfolio. The portfolio helps to calm the nerves. The portfolio shows people, look, you have experience creating the types of images that they need, and that lowers the risk level. That is why portfolios are so important. Not necessarily to see your pretty pictures. It's not about you. And I think if you take this one thing out of the conversation, it's not about you. It's about risk aversion. People don't like risk. And when your photography, hiring you is a risk, that is a problem. And that is why you don't get hires, because you haven't overcome that risk objection. So when you can do things outside of lowering your rate to lower that risk, you're going to win the photography business game. That's the bottom line. So you don't have to go around worrying about, are your prices too high? Because if you can do the job that they want and you're going to give them and they see the value in the photography, then, it's no big deal. I'll pay the $2,000 for a photographer because I know I'm going to get, the risk has been lowered for me enough that I feel confidence handing over that money. So the key word, the word of the day, the word of the day is risk. And the better you can lower the risk in the customer's eyes, in the client's eyes, prospect's eyes, the better the chance of you getting the job. All right, so I have questions from people, and of course you can put questions in the chat, and of course in the comments for those of you who are watching on replay. See, King Photographer, he asked this question. Hey, on the per image pricing model, let's say a client wants and pays for 5 images. How many images are you actually taking, obviously, to get those 5 images? And do you let them choose their favorites on location before you post? So that's the question. And, how many images I take certainly depends on the situation. For me personally, I take as many images until I feel like I have the shot. I mean, I think we've been in that situation many times. When you got the shot. You shoot, you take photographs. I mean, that's why the recommendation always take a lot of photographs. You don't just take one picture and move on. You take a lot of photographs and you keep making adjustments in the lighting and the composition until wow, that was it. That was it. Sometimes it's the very first shot. And sometimes it's the last shot, So sometimes you've taken a ton of images and then wham, finally you got it and you're done. Or sometimes you got the first one and say, oh, well, let me try a few more. And then you say, no, I really got it in the first shot. So it really does depend. And then you can continue, you move on to another topic, another subject. But the point is that how many images really just depends on the situation and the clients. Now, the other part of that question is, do I show them the images on location? Now, if you are doing, retail, family photography, it may be a good idea to show the images on location in terms of a conversion rate, in terms of making the sale on location. You're going to close more people as soon as you can, as soon as you've taken the photographs. So soon after you've taken the photographs, that clock is ticking. And the longer you wait, 5 minutes, well, that's better than an hour later. And in an hour is better than the next day. And the next day is much better than a week later, and so forth. So 6 months down the road, asking for the sale, it's almost diminished to nothing unless it's a really high priority. Maybe it's a wedding, but even there, they're on to their their next parts of life that are important. So the thing is, you are better off showing sooner rather than later. When it comes to commercial clients, what I do is I don't show them on location, other than maybe if I'm tethering from the camera, they'll see the images and then they select on location. So if come to think of it. So if I'm on location and, I'm in the studio and I have the client with me and they're seeing the photographs that we're taking, more of a still life situation, they may select the images that they want, and that may happen right then and there. But generally, if I'm on location, let's say I go into a factory and I take a bunch of images, or I do architectural work or interiors or a bunch of portraits, I will bring them back to the studio and I will edit them, and then I'll put them up on, say, a website through Lightroom, and then let them select the numbers that they want, and then I will do my post-production on those images. And then I would put them in, say, a photo shelter account for them to download. And that's usually the way I go about it. All right, that was a great question. If you have more questions, make sure you hit me up on Twitter at Rosh Sillars, and of course here on YouTube. And you can always catch me with the comments over at the blog at roshsillars.com. Okay, the next question, should I ever sell my copyright? Well, I've certainly had a few videos on that topic, and it is a good topic. And you know what? If you feel you're getting full value for selling that right, I don't have a problem with it. My only problem is when people don't add anything to their normal price for the copyright. They just think it's part of doing business. And that's wrong. It is not part of doing business. We had a conversation recently, and somebody emailed. Oh my gosh! It's on this channel. It's on this channel, and I'm forgetting who it was. They commented, and I wish I could remember who it was. But he commented. He said, "Hey, yeah, we talked. It was about the charity situation," and he said, I did work for a charity, and they." I've done many events and I wanted to do another event for them. And they sent me a contract and it said they needed all the copyrights for the photographs. And he was going to do it for free. And it's like, wait a minute, then you're going to have to pay me if you want the copyright. That means I can't use these. They're not my images. And he said they were offended. They're offended that they wanted to take all of his rights, own everything as he did it for free. And the conversation, of course, is, yes, you can do charity work for free if it's a charity you want to support, but don't do charity work because someone came to you. It's a charity you don't even know of, and they want you to do it for free. No, they need photographs because they have value. They need photographs because they can use them for public relations and earn more donations. Your photographs have value. And if you want to take the time and support a charity, we support charities in many different ways. And if we have a skill that can support a charity, awesome, great. But, they don't just deserve all the copyright. And the same thing here. So if you want to sell your copyright, generally 50, 100% more of your standard fee. Some people are even higher than that. But make them and understand that they are purchasing a valuable asset. And that is the copyright to your photographs. So again, if you're just just putting it in there and saying, hey, you get the copyrights too, and that's my standard fee, I'd probably have an argument with you. I don't think that's the right way to go at all. All right, here's a question. It's a little tougher also to really, what is a good hourly rate for events? Well, this is what I have seen across the board in general, and it really just depends on where you are. 125 to 250 an hour is very common, especially in the cities. 200 an hour for commercial photographers. I mean, if you're below $100, you're probably working in the, amateur realm. And that's probably the amateur rate, somebody who's just dabbling in it. They don't know what the standard rates are. Even 125 is certainly the low end. But obviously the true answer is, what is your cost of doing business? Our continuous mantra on this show, understanding your value, how much does it cost for you actually to be there, make a profit, and meet your goals. Where do you want to be? What kind of income do you want at the end of the year? How much do you want to make? And you need to add all that up and figure it out. But I say on average 125 to $250 an hour. There are photographers who charge a lot more, that is for sure. But obviously they've built up what? What have they built up? Their brand. And when you build up your brand, you can start to charge even more. And I highly recommend you do that. Okay, here's my last question that I have on today's list. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And of course, I'll catch you on the replay later with your questions in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure you do, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to catch me live and ask me questions. And that's the best way to do it, because then you'll be notified when I do go live, and we can connect that way. Okay, how can I get my work into galleries? Great question. I get this one a lot. And the answer to that is to really do your research and your homework and build relationships. I mean, start off, learn if you have local galleries, start going to those galleries, start understanding the type of work that they display. Now, you don't want to necessarily say, oh, wow, this gallery has a great artist for flowers. I'm just going to throw that off the top of my head. And then so, I do flowers too, so I'm going to show them all my flowers. Well, no. Consider the type of photography that they do and that they show, but make sure that your work complements the work that is in that gallery, but is not exactly the same, because they don't want 10 photographers who do the same type of flower photography, right? So, but you do need a theme. You need to make sure it is a gallery and that you are the type of photographer that they are looking for. And that really is important. So that's what I would recommend. Get to know the gallery owners. Start to develop those relationships. Get yourself into that first gallery. The key to any process, to learning how to get your work into galleries, is just go through that process. You're never going to know how to do it until you go through, do your research, talk to gallery owners. You can learn so much, because these are small business owners in most cases, and it's not an easy business to be into. And so, talking to them and understanding what it is that they're looking for, what is working best for them, how you can best support them, that's information that again, building the relationship, the rapport, and just continue to find that right gallery. Maybe you'll find an opportunity through conversation, through understanding the values of that gallery, that, hey, this gallery might be the right place for my work. So that's what you want to do. And once you've done that, now you can expand maybe regionally and find a couple of regional galleries, and then expand beyond that. And after that, you can start to develop relationships with people who are further away from you, because you really understand the gallery mentality. You understand what the gallery owner is looking for in general, not necessarily just your work. So you have a better sense of the game, and then that'll make it a lot easier. So again, it would be easier to connect with somebody in your own hometown or region at first before you start going a long distance. So that's my best answer there. Just like any kind of photography, any situation, it's all about relationships. And the better you can build relationships and understand really the end customer. And that's another thing you can consider too, is the fact that who is the end customer of that gallery? And if you can kind of understand that, and even go to the gallery owner and say, I know the type of people that buy from your gallery, or based on my research, I think this kind of work that I'm producing here would be perfect for the people who purchase work from you. So that's a good way to go about it too. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for those who came in and said hello on the live stream. And of course, always I'm here I'll be here Friday, noon Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I look forward to that, and we'll talk to you soon.